Dean Larson, President Spandler, members of the Board of Trustees, faculty members, graduates of the class of 2008, their family and friends. It's an honor to be asked to address you on this wonderful day of promise for such an exciting future. As a professor for the past 35 years, I understand the important achievements this day represents for the graduating class of Eberly College of Science. Led by dedicated faculty, these students have worked hard for 4 years and are now leaving this nurturing place for new challenges. This is fortunate, as a country intensely needs graduates in science and mathematics. We are faced with major challenges about energy and the environment, continued advances in health care and its availability, and increasing international dependence of the world's economies that only young people with your talents and training can surmount. I do not want to give you the impression that you are through learning. You have just attained the tools from Penn State to begin to learn. Almost all the knowledge that you will use throughout your life, you will learn on your own in the future. Whether this occurs in graduate school or professional school or out in the marketplace, you will have to continue to acquire new knowledge and skills. Finding environments that provide opportunities and people who stimulate these learning processes is a major part of the decision-making that you face in your immediate future. Over 40 years ago, I stood in a similar position that some of you are in today. I had just completed my PhD in theoretical chemistry from the University of Illinois and was facing a career decision. I decided after reading some journals and books and talking to some friends that I wanted to become a scientist studying the then new field of molecular biology. I had had essentially no training in biology, but I did find a mentor at Caltech, Professor Norman Davison, who was also making the transition from chemistry to molecular biology. And in that environment, I was able to identify and learn the essentials of the field. Since then, I have done research in cancer biology, virology, cell biology, immunology, RNA chemistry, not to mention interactions with biotech and pharmaceuticals. In each of these cases, I had to become a student again, learning the essentials of the new field. There is nothing I enjoy more than learning something new and sharing this new knowledge with colleagues. When people ask me about the secrets of my successes as they are, I answer that it is my curiosity that drives me to continue to learn and to use this new knowledge for something useful. You're at a transition where decisions that influence the course of your career are to be made, as I mentioned. I've been advising students at MIT for many years, and each coming year, seniors wander into my office seeking advice about possible career choices. We talk about the possibilities, but I make it a rule never to ever strongly influence their decisions on their career choices. This decision has to be their own. I believe these young people have a more valid vision of the future than I do in many cases. This philosophy from the perspective of the student is similar to a popular refrain during the 60s. Never trust anyone over 30 with an important decision about your life. However, there is one aspect of the future that I do emphasize. Most people, particularly young people, underestimate the rate of change of society and science that will occur during the course of their career. Thus, in the face of this uncertainty, how can you try to make wise decisions? The answer is that though the rate of change may be difficult to judge, you can probably see the global forces that will drive those changes over the coming decades. These include the challenges I mentioned above, in my opinion: increasing cost of energy, climate change, increasing demands for health care. But I would add to these the rapid advances in technology and science, and particularly in my field, life science. These forces are important to recognize because they indicate where change will occur. And wherever there is change, there is the opportunity to lead change. And that's what this is about. As a means of illustrating the rate of change in science and technology, it's interesting to remember that as little as 50 years ago, we discovered the structure of DNA. That was Watson and Crick, and thus founded the field of molecular biology. 30 years ago, we discovered how to synthesize new genes and use recombinant DNA to engineer organisms that could produce things like human insulin and new types of pharmaceuticals. A great alumnus of Penn State, someone who sat in the seats you're sitting in today, and a personal friend, Paul Berg of Stanford, largely led this advance, and he was acknowledged with a Nobel Prize for this groundbreaking activity. I had the pleasure a few years ago to present the inaugural lecture in the Berg Auditorium here on your campus. Paul was present that day, making it very special for me because he was a mentor and a role model in my life. A great challenge of the next decade is managing the cost and availability of healthcare while encouraging continued development of new therapeutics and treatments. Some 14 to 15% of the gross domestic product of this country is now spent on healthcare. The rate of increase in healthcare rate of cost of increase of healthcare has grown at twice the national rate of inflation, and demand for more healthcare is going to increase due to the nation's demographics, the baby boomers. This significant fraction of the population is finding it difficult to afford healthcare insurance. At the same time, we need to constrain the growth of cost of healthcare and expand its availability. We are entering the moment in history where science has the most to offer for the development of new and more effective therapies. This new power comes from the advancements in science such as sequencing the human genome, advances in human genetics related to diseases, and better technology to produce new types of drugs designed for human factors that control disease processes. I can perhaps illustrate this by a summary of some of the products that a biotech company I co-founded in 1978, 30 years ago. It is the oldest freestanding biotech. It's named Biogen IDEC. The company is located in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and employs about 5,000 people around the world. Since its establishment, its technology has been important in developing the hepatitis B vaccine, which most of you have had experience with, the first effective treatment for hepatitis B and C, which is based on human alpha interferon, the first effective treatment for multiple sclerosis based on human beta interferon, and more recently, a more effective treatment for multiple sclerosis based on blocking cell trafficking. And in our merger with IDEC, a highly effective treatment for adult B-cell lymphoma, Rituxan. These are new types of therapy for previously untreatable diseases. In the biotech industry and university labs, there are currently more new drugs and treatments under development for previously untreatable diseases than there have ever been before. In fact, I've been in cancer research for over 40 years, and we clearly have the most promising new therapies and technologies under development now than at any earlier time. Most people do not realize that age-adjusted death due to cancer has decreased in this country over the past decades. Most researchers believe that this decrease in rate of death due to cancer will accelerate over the next decades, largely eliminating this disease from young adults and middle-aged people. This does not mean that we will eliminate cancer for everyone. Cancer will remain a medical reality for older people, but even here, we hope to have more effective therapies that do not have the damaging effect of current chemotherapies. There is clearly much to be done still, but the promise is there when viewed from the progress of current science and drug development. Let me talk about one example where I believe new technologies and science will produce innovative treatment with perhaps lower costs. At MIT, we're establishing an exciting new institute, the Koch Institute for Integrative Cancer Research. This institute combines engineering and molecular biology. The objectives of the institute are to integrate engineering at the nanoscale, at a scale smaller than cells, with cancer research to target new therapies, create new types of gene-specific drugs, and fabricate microscale processes that can separate and analyze individual cells from the blood. In the latter case, these could be cancer cells or immune cells that could indicate an impending disease long before it became a major problem and at a time in which it could be treated with little hard intervention. We consider this new combination of engineering and cell biology so promising that we have labeled it the third revolution in life science research, with the first being the birth of molecular biology with the discovery of the structure of DNA, the second, the genomic revolution that began with the contribution of Paul Berg and continued with the sequencing of the human genome, and the third revolution is the integration of engineering and molecular biology. This will not only change how we're able to investigate the workings of cells, but also will produce new treatments and new therapies. So in closing, you as graduates of Eberly College stand on the threshold of an amazing transition in history. The world is shrinking. The expectations that all of the world's population in the future can have a lifestyle of the citizens of this country over the past century is something the world cannot accommodate. We are challenged with global warming, expensive energy, and many issues of social justice. Mastering these challenges fall on your shoulders. I believe some of the answers to these challenges are in the continued advancement of science and technology, an area in which you are now leaders. We have high expectations of you, and we are sure you're up to this challenge. Congratulations.